Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and we've got another Star Wars Galaxy video today. Now, Set 9 Datacron stats were released yesterday, so I created an awesome PowerPoint, and then I guess I didn't save it, so now you guys will have to deal with kind of the remake version of it. So hopefully I did a good job remaking it, but guys, I'm going to be talking about the stats, what I think is important, how broken I think this is, and I really do think it's such a strong set. So and then I'll be giving some of the recommendations of what I'm kind of thinking of right now. It's going to be crazy, guys. It's if you guys like defense, you guys are going to love this set. So let's go ahead and get into it. And if, by the way, if you guys do like these videos, make sure you put it in the comment section down below. Like the video, obviously. So that way I know that this is something that you guys want to see, and I can continue to kind of go down the rabbit hole of like, hey, what teams should we be using with what stats? So anyways, these are the stats, guys. Sorry you can't really see the health one, but it's health percentage, protection percentage, which kind of mimic each other as far as the splits go. We have offense percentage, defense percentage, crit damage, and health steal. Now, the big thing that you guys probably notice is that defense is the heaviest set on here. What's crazy about this is that it's so offset by what is bringing to the opposite set of that, which is offense. Offense is the lowest set or lowest stat on this set. And so it's going to create this really huge imbalance of you are going to have your damage nerfed immensely. And that can't be said enough. It's going to feel like you aren't hitting anymore. It's going to feel like we're back in 2017 and we're watching our Zaris hit some, bigger legendary or something like that. Like, this is how it's going to feel. Those times where we would get in and go CLS on someone and the match would be over in 30 seconds. If they have a defensive loaded cron, it's going to feel like it's going to be a timeout scenario. So kind of going in with the initial impressions, like, this is a defender's dream. This set right now is a defender's dream. Not only is this set personally a defender's dream, but the set previous to this, 8, doesn't really offer us a ton of options. There are some to combat like that defense heavy, but truly, like, this is something that's very, very defense centric. The amount of bulk that's going to be going in there, plus the defense, it's going to be a new frustration mechanic for sure. So if you don't love PvP modes, or you aren't the biggest Datacron lover in the world, this might be a very frustrating few months for you. And the good news is that you can wait for about 2 months, and hopefully in the new set we'll see something else that will kind of negate this, right? Whether that's defense penetration or whatever the case is. So the landscape of what's going to be possible due to defense and bulk meta is going to change, like I said, kind of at least for 2 months. And what I mean by that is a lot of, if you haven't faced high defense stats, if you don't face characters that have that kind of thickness to it, it's going to be interesting, right? Like, you're going to feel like you have certain stats and stuff like that, and it's not going, you're going to feel like your offensive characters aren't going to be bringing all that much to the table. In terms of power, when I first saw Set 6 and I came back to the game around then, it was something where I said, this is very strong, and you are like, I decided at that point, I'm going to invest in this a little bit and really actually try and get into Datacrons. And actually, I did enjoy Set 6. I want to come fully clean on that. Like, it was a very interesting way of trying to keep the meta and what we set on defense and what we use on offense. There were some really cool combinations there. What I will say about this set is I think it's even stronger. Not that I'm saying that you have to do 100 refreshes on Conquest for Datacrons. I am in Kyber 1 and I do 50 crystal refreshes. I only have 9 GAC Omicrons, which I know for some people, like, that sounds crazy, like that's like so many, but for that level, it's not a ton, and I'm still able to compete. This right here, this set, the ones that decide to go heavy into this set, they are going to be the ones that you're going to see climbing. in GAC, TW, all that stuff. I guarantee it. And so how can we counter set 9? So again, these are initial impressions. Obviously, we haven't seen this play out in practice, right? But there's a few things that I'm kind of thinking of. Defense is going to be meta. That is for sure. With it being so prevalent, and especially with it being at a low level, even if those guys that are, getting that free datacron that are from the, the calendar that CG always pushes out, there you can actually gain like a lot of defense just from those first two rolls. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis on insta kills, right? Characters like Nihilus, Mando, C. Those are going to be characters that we are going to probably start valuing a little bit more because of what they are able to bring. Characters also that can ramp up with their mastery, or they have like some sort of stacking offense, like SLKR or Afra. Those characters I think will also become more valuable. You can use defense to beat defense, right? Just because someone else has defense on theirs, it means that, like, yes, your damage is nerfed, but if you also have a good defense cron put on your character, you can, and they aren't gaining a stacking mastery like, SLKR is, you can actually use that to your advantage. They won't be able to kill you because you are going to be doing enough damage for yourself and ramping that. So you will eventually, again, it's going to be a 4 to 5 minute fight, but you will eventually be able to kind of stack up enough offense to where you're kind of negating that defense. So just something to keep in mind. Emphasis on characters that deal true damage. The big one is JML, his leadership ability. It's going to be hugely important. If you haven't R9 JML, you might want to consider it again. And then stuff like Bam Birds, there's a few other ones, in Territory Wars. I know, like, Dad Bob Boba, he kind of helps out with that stuff. And then with set 8, right, again, a lot of times these sets play off of each other. These ones, I don't actually see so much of that going on. Set 8 was really kind of a neutral set, in my opinion. But it does give us some shots in the dark. 100% damage at 100%, health and protection. The hard part there is keeping your characters at 100% health and protection, right? But the 100% damage can be something that could potentially offset some of that defense. I don't think it's going to be enough, especially if you do have someone that's got, 400% offense or something like that, but it could be. And it's actually not 100% damage or offense, it's at 100% damage. Like I said, the team needs sustain, right? If you're going to have that cron, you need to have some sort of sustain in there to where you're rehealing and so that way you can keep that damage up. Then the other one, and I think this one kind of was a sleeper in set 8, but the stacking offense on level 3, when they have buff, you gain stacking offense. I think that one's going to be actually pretty big. There's a lot of teams that have sustain enough to where you can survive, especially if all they're just running is a ton of defense. So if you know that this is going to be a 3 to 4 minute fight, and that character is going to take, 10 turns or whatever the case is, right? That stacking offense will add up eventually. Like I said, it will take time, but it will do its thing. So there's a few ways I think that we can counter this, but really, like, it is going to be huge. Full disclosure. Okay, so all these are going to be GLs. I won't go through every single one of them. And I remembered, again, just because I restarted this PowerPoint, that I didn't put SLKR in here. I'll just kind of quickly go through it at the end. But I think one of the biggest ones that we're going to see gained from this is Lord Vader. Surprise, surprise, right? He feels like he's kind of always there. The current meta for him is the Season 8 dot cron. With the new ones that I think you should go for, should be the level 3, where you're getting 15% max health and protection. In a Lord Vader lead, that basically just means that's 100% of those stats, right? Like, that's pretty good. And so the next one is we're going to get level 6. I think for the Sith, I think there's some viability for the ability block. I think there's some viability for the anti-revive. I know that Lord Vader, when he's in his ult, he already goes through an anti-revive, but there can also be this guy named Darth Vader, and if he goes into Merciless and he starts throwing his sabers at the right people, especially if they're trying to run like a Fennec lead or something like that. It can hit the right guy and it can be really, really annoying. So, and you know, the same thing with like Night Sisters and SLKR, right? Like if Daka kind of goes away within that first coal, it can feel pretty messy early on. I think for secondaries, we need to look at defense, obviously, because that's just going to nerf all the counters that go towards Lord Vader. Protection, it's not really needed, as the level 3s, I think, kind of covers that sustainability and like that big, as I put it, a lot of chunk to get through. And then the third one is health steal and critical damage. Health steal kind of opens up a little bit more for SLKR. He can deal that big crit damage hit whenever we've got a ton of health steal. So it opens up that way, but it can make a lot of counters annoying. And then CD is also pretty good. You can kind of get unexpected hits from Lord Vader, even with like SLKR, and you're like, well, where's all that damage coming from? And it can cause you to lose. And then the last thing is this better than the current meta, which is the Dot Cron again. And the Dot Cron is really strong, but I think this one is stronger. All right, next one. Rey. So the current meta is the season 7 where they target an ally and they gain some stats. Again, you're going to go with the level 3, 15% health and protection. The big one there is really the health. It's for basically when she's doing lifebloods. For secondaries, health, again, lifebloods for the are going to be good. Especially if you could have like Cal in there where he's adding 30% health to Rey. You've got Zori, who's going to allow her to take 2 turns, which is 2 lifebloods, plus, you know, Ben Solo, who's already boosting her health up again. All these things will start to make that bonus protection. You're going to hit for the first few times, and you're like, I still am not through this bonus protection. She's absolutely nasty right now. I think she actually will get a little bit better, but defense obviously can kind of help nerf what SK is doing, Starkiller. It won't really help against JML, but I think most part people are still trying to run Starkiller versus Rey in Grand Arena. And then offense or health steal. Both, you know, offense is just sort of that, you know, she's going to come down, she's going to do a lot of damage on her ults. You know, if you knock out, you know, a character like Mara or Juhani, or, you know, Visas, all of a sudden you kind of get rid of the revive. You know, like these things start to definitely help, you know, help you counter SK a little bit more. And health steal is just annoying. So especially with her, like you want her to kind of get to a point where she can't reheal. Again, some of the passive characters that I've mentioned earlier, they actually kind of go through that, and they're kind of going to negate that. So that's why it's kind of a one or the other. Is it better than the current meta? I think slightly, but we're going to get that set dusted anyway, so I don't think that there's anything better in set 8. So I think set 9 is going to be better for GL Rey. All right, so JML is super easy. The current meta is the protection, just season 8s with protection on there. And then, you know, we like to get the potency one on level 3, but you know, we're adding protection, and that's the big thing, and that's why the secondaries are all protection. Like, it's adding to the Jedi lessons. I think like I said, I'm going to give it a slight edge, but it's not a huge difference because protection is protection on both sets. There's a little bit more here due to the level 3. There's a little bit more control, but it's harder on the current set because of tenacity. So again, I think I'm going to go with the current set, though, or the new set 9. All right, so Jabba. So his current meta is Season 7 Smuggler's TM. What we'll be running this season, again, big surprise. He's actually not going to benefit as much just because we know we have to have at least Boosh Leia. You know, Skiff Lando, you could probably put a substitution in there to boost that up a little bit more than the 45%. But, you know, Skiff Lando usually ends up in there. So, you know, there's only 3 dark side allies. So this could actually be a little bit less than what we're kind of anticipating. But, you know, defense, it can make him be really hard. It could be impossible to kill Chrysanthemum unless you have some sort of, you know, cat's leap or something like that. And then you still got to kill him the second time. Health gives additional bonus protection, which is kind of always happening on that team. And the protection really does make Chrysanthemum thicker. And Chrysanthemum, even if you have the cat leap, he does take some time to get through, right? It can give your Jabba enough time to get an ult, and hopefully it targets cat, right? Like, and then if that happens, you have kind of at least timed them out. So is it better than the current meta? I would actually give the slight edge to set 7 for Jabba. Again, he's not gaining as much from that level 3. And honestly, set 7 was kind of broken, like literally broken for him. He was gaining a little bit more, especially with the Embo Omicron. So and the fast ult in certain scenarios was just really, really good. So hard to beat that one. For JMK, another one that's pretty simple. Season 7 buffs was his current meta. With a buff, they recover some health and protection. That was pretty strong for him. This one, we're going to, again, go back with bulk because it's so good. But the thing is with secondaries, and this is kind of going to be depending on what you're seeing JMK do. And I think we're going to start seeing a little bit of a shift. For so long, he was kind of, I'm going to stick him on defense. He's going to take a really good counter at this point. That's kind of with this in mind. We'll want crit damage or offense to kind of cut through C's sides quicker. We'll want some health to give some additional bonus protection. And we'll want defense, which makes the non-C teams tougher. Honestly, defense won't really do much for you in terms of, if they're using C to counter your JML. But is it better than the current meta? I think I'm going to give a slight edge to set 9, but overall, I think JMK is going to struggle on defense. I think he's an offensive GL now. I think there's been that slow transition, but I think there's still a large majority of people that are still kind of requiring him on defense. So, and then Galactic Legend, Sith Eternal. So this one's going to be an interesting one, and I'm going to kind of go into a little bit, and then we'll go into SLKR a little bit after this. But okay, so big thing here is, I think the level 3, obviously, we want to add that bulk to C. We've always wanted bulk on C, so this heavily benefits him. Level 6 is an interesting one. I think ability block makes it to where JMK counter is easier if you're running that on offense. And then doubt is also an interesting one. And the reason why I put both of these on there is because actually I think too, there is a space now to putting C on defense. The biggest reason why we stopped using C on defense, or really never started, is because so many things countered him, and it never usually felt really like a good trade-off. I'm not saying that it's necessarily changed, but Wampa really did change that for that. And if you really wanted to make your C Wampa proof, you had to kind of go through kind of big endeavors, adding Omicron Savage or like a Malik, or like some sort of Sith Empire in there. Doubt is going to stop any bonus turns or any bonus protection, bonus turn meter or even buffs. So we've kind of negated that in and of itself. We also are going to stop with ability blocks, him able to gaining his bonus protection, right? So when we attack him, he has to be the only character out on the field. So with that, they can't be resisted. We're going to ability block him. He's never going to roar. He's never going to be able to do that. So you can place a, quote unquote, wampable C team, and actually still get the full effects of not allowing it to get soloed, right? It just feels bad when we allow our Galactic Legend to get, a 68 on it. So there's actually a lot that's going on in there that could be helpful. Doubt is an interesting one too. If you thought you were going to kind of piece it meal together, like a counter, like maybe like, let's say troopers, kill a few of them. All of a sudden now they're not assisting. Now they're not, as soon as they reach to 50% health, they're not going to assist. They're not going to do any of that stuff. So this one could be really interesting. And then the thing about doubt is it's a 50% threshold. And when you kill a Sith on C's team, all the other Sith actually regain all their health and protection. So I could see it being like a kind of annoying thing. Like every time you kind of gain some momentum, you actually kind of get paused. So there's some interesting, I think, avenues there for that one. Anyways, The level 9, you could choose from a bunch. I don't necessarily see any that like scream out to me that's like, wow, this could be really strong with C. Maybe Sith Assassins, but most people aren't going to have her at Relic 7, and I don't know if hers is necessarily going to be good enough to where you could say like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give up that. So anyways, defense secondaries, it's going to just nerf that incoming damage. We've already got the bulk on him. It's really good. If we're going to add some more stats to him, health is obviously really good for him. We've kind of already got C's health loaded, so that can be great. And then the third one, crit damage. It can make it to where instead of insta-killing 2, and that's it, you could probably, insta-kill 2 and then maybe add an additional one there. And then is it better than the current meta? Yes, for sure. Now, SLKR is interesting because, again, he's kind of in that ramping damage. I do think that you're going to want the 15% max health and protection. Again, sort of boring, I know, but like that's just such a good one. We're just going to see that over and over and over and over again, especially with the GLs because they maximize that so well. I think for the secondaries, you're going to want a little bit of defense on there. I think you're going to want health steal. You're going to want a lot of health steal on there because he can, once he kind of gets going, you're going to be continuously swiping with him and he's going to kind of negate any of the damage that was done to him. And then the last one for me, I think, would be crit damage, right? So just getting to that point to where you're helping boost his damage, even though he's already stacking. But with some of these crons that are going to be 400+%, you're going to want to see some faster results, right? So that crit damage is going to help do that. So anyways, guys, that's like, again, a very quick run through of the set. Again, sorry that my original PowerPoint got all messed up. I always love bringing these out there, though, because it's kind of just funny to use PowerPoint in a video. And I think it conveys the information right. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions, maybe something that I missed. There's tons of avenues to go down with this, but I think really we're just going to see a huge defense percentage meta. And again, if you haven't faced, some of these characters that we already are modding with a lot of defense, I think you're going to start to feel like, where's all my damage? I don't get it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then again, if you guys like these videos, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps us out. Share this with your guild. And again, if you guys want to see more comps that I'm thinking of in my head, let me know. That way I can know where to put my time and effort into. Anyways, guys, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys in the next one.